is a Reverso, and we had a brief chat about it.
Yes.
Recently, where we sort of discussed them as and the brand as a whole, and I mean, one of the most iconic watches ever made. Again, it's always been a brand up until maybe recently that's always had a really strong kind of cult following, but less mass appeal, mainly due to the shape of the case and kind of almost Art Deco design that hasn't really changed in the past 50 or 60 years. But again, one of those watches that really, if you are a collector, is always worth having in the collection.
You were the person who introduced the watch to me when we met a few days ago, and I did see these watches for sale and paid attention to them when I visited the HEUER shop in Covent Garden. So I did see that these are selling. I mean, the retail price on these is, well, several £1,000s.
Yeah, I mean, again, and I think we touched on it with the Omega as well, another brand that has very recently had a price rise at retail price, quite significantly as well. I think demand for them has increased as well. But a very similar situation where if it is something that you're really after and you really like, definitely worth looking pre-owned. As you could end, again, this I believe is just shy of £7,000 at 6,950. And I'm just trying to find out the retail price for you now.
Yeah. What is the age of this watch?
So Toby? That is a 2022.
It's a 2022. Yeah. So it's essentially close to a new watch, and it is. Yeah. There's a savings there for sure.
The last known retail price was £9,500.
Oh, that's a terrific. That's a very nice savings then on this watch.
Yeah.
That seems like
personally a watch I really, really love. Size-wise, there are, I believe, about 8 different sizes to choose from. This is the classic, the kind of middle of the road size. And it really can be worn by anyone. Although slightly maybe on the smaller size for modern sizing and what a lot of buyers are expecting. If you want classic JLC, and this really is something that's worth looking at.
Yeah, I mean, definitely good value.
Yeah, unbelievable. Small seconds. You have a brand with a really rich kind of watchmaking heritage, and a real iconic watch.
Absolutely. So now all of your watches are supplied with your own warranty as an add-on?
It very much depends. If it is still under manufacturer's warranty,
yes,
then it will always be covered by that. However, if it is out of manufacturer's warranty, then all of our watches are supplied with a 24-month warranty.
Okay, excellent. Let's move on to our next piece. Datejust41 here. This is absolutely looking gorgeous. Dream watch for me. Absolutely. Look at the dial. Yeah, black. Just beautiful. We've got the black dial with, I think that's white gold in the bracelet.
White gold in the bezel. The fluted bezel is white gold.
Yeah, the fluted white gold. This looks essentially as a new watch, I believe.
Yeah. So again, this is more sort of classic modern Rolex. I think as a lot of watch brands sort of started to sort of move towards slightly larger watches. This was kind of a really big statement from Rolex at the time. Obviously, Datejust and Day-Dates historically being known for being 36 and quite, more on the elegant side of things. They obviously had the Datejust 2 to start with. That was a success, and then you ended up with the Datejust41, which is the 1-2 reference that was a little bit more refined than the previous generation, and a real popular watch for a very, very long time.
What year is this one, Toby?
This is a 2019.
So 19.
Yeah.
And how is this priced and relative to the price you'd pay at the Rolex AD?
Well, I think the price you pay at the Rolex AD is been a bit academic for the last 3 or 4 years now.
Because of the wait lists, yes.
I think actually now is probably the best time you've had in the last 2 or 3 years to try and get this kind of watch or a similar example at retail at the moment. Obviously, with retail price increasing and pre-owned prices coming down, demand at the ADs, although not for Submariners, GMTs and Daytonas, but for more sort of Air Kings and Explorers and Datejust41s, it's definitely dropped slightly. Although if we're talking about entry-level watches, I think out of the watches you're going to see today, this is arguably the more, I think the most expensive example you'll see today.
Okay.
And that's 8,750. If you were to go by comparison to one that's currently in production that's available at Rolex,
yes,
you'd be looking at a list price now of £9,250. Wow.
Impressive. So this, I mean, to my eyes, this is very close to as new. I would be very content with this if I was looking for one of these, which I am. I don't have the budget right now, but it's definitely
in the right place.
Yes, but that seems like a very good price because it's a bit lower than what you would pay brand new, and it is it's looking as a brand new watch.
Yeah,
absolutely gorgeous.
Again, the argument, there's obviously some advantages to buying something like this brand new in comparison to a 2019 as well, which is mainly the manufacturer's warranty. And if it's the first watch you're buying, then I can see how that could be quite appealing to some buyers. But in all honesty, I think we use the term bulletproof for the Omega, and I think for something like this, it's a very similar situation where if it is worn on a fairly regular basis and looked after, it will carry on running for, I mean,
ever
a very long time.
Ever.
The service advice is always sort of 5 or so years. There are some ADs that now offer 10-year sort of warranties with their watches as well, and it's very much a case of, especially with the Datejust41, which are very robust and can sort of can be worn on a very regular basis. They the longer they are worn and well maintained, you will have very few problems with them over their life.
Well, a watch is like a car. It's best on your wrist.
Yeah,
not in the garage or in the safety deposit. Indeed.
I think with all watches, you run into problems if it's put down for a year or two or stuck away in a safe. And we always compare it to it sort of being like a car. You buy a car, but you never start it, and when you do go to start it, that's when the problems can start to occur.
Right. Beautiful, beautiful watch. We'll move on to our next piece. Non-Rolex. This is something that is looking very interesting and very different.
Yeah. So that.
What are we looking at here? What a interesting creation this is.
As far as HEUER or Tag HEUER as they are now, as far as that brand goes, something like this is probably the most iconic watch they've ever made.
The Monacco.
Yeah,
yes.
The Monacco. Again, I think you'll find with other watches that you see in front of you, the reason they're so iconic is because designs have very rarely ever changed from the originals. Sizes will change in materials and dial colours and things like that, but the watch itself is very much like the original.
It would have been the late 60s that you say these first went into production, and they're still produced today.
Yeah.
What year is this model?
So that model in front of you is a 2021 example.
Okay, quite relatively new.
Relatively new, and again, arguably one of the nicest modern Monacos available. I mean, with a really lovely kind of flat blue. Again, very similar to one that was produced in the early 70s with that kind of flat blue to the dial. Just again, a really lovely watch with amazing colours working.
And what is the investment one would have to make to obtain ownership of this piece?
So that's on our. If it was to be bought through us, it's available on our website at just shy of £5,000 at £4,950. If you were to compare it to retail price, although slightly more limited in that model, you're looking at about £7,000 or so.
Good, very nice savings. What an impressive watch. What is the blue in terms of rarity? Are there other colors that are rarer?
There have been a few recent examples of the Monacco that have been quite sought after. There was a sort of darker green and a darker purple dial that was released as special editions, but something like this, which is known as the Steve McQueen, because it's a re-edition of a very similar sort of original Monacco that was worn by Steve McQueen in the movie Le Mans. So something like that, in comparison to a standard black dial, is slightly more valuable.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, beautiful. It's always nice to see the movie star references on certain watches. He wore a lot of interesting watches in his movies, didn't he? He sure did.
And what you will find with a lot of re-edition watches is that they are so popular because they are so similar to the originals, although with more modern materials.
Right. Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.